I flew to Los Angeles without warning, dreaming of a joyful reunion, but instead, I found my daughter fighting for her life in the intensive care unit. Meanwhile, her husband was partying on a luxury yacht, spending my money on champagne and entertainment. My anger boiled over. I left him penniless. An hour later, he lost control, and that was just the beginning. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments what time it is where you are right now. I pulled out my phone as the plane began its descent into LAX, my fingers trembling slightly as I typed, landing in 23 minutes. This will be the best surprise of her life. Hitting send felt like making a promise I was finally about to keep. 3 years apart. Too long. The photograph in my wallet was soft at the edges from being held too often. Hannah laughing in her kitchen, flour dusting her dark hair. Maya, grinning, wide with a missing tooth. Little Liam, holding up a crayon masterpiece with pride. I'd looked at that picture every single day since Martha died, but today felt different. Today, I was finally doing something about the ache in my chest. Folks, we're beginning our final approach into Los Angeles International Airport. My weathered hands gripped the armrests as anticipation surged through me. The last time I had surprised anyone was Martha's 51st birthday. That felt like a lifetime ago. 5 years of grief had turned me into a stranger, even to my own daughter. But Hannah's voice during our last call 3 months ago still haunted me. "I'm just tired, Dad. Really tired." Her words had clung to me like a shadow at the baggage carousel. I watched other families reunite. A young mother swept her toddler into her arms. An elderly couple hugged their son. Soon that would be me and Hannah, except she didn't know. I was coming. Studio City, please, I told the Uber driver, showing him the address on my phone. Going to see my daughter. She doesn't know I'm coming. Surprise visits are the best, he said with a warm smile. My family in Guatemala, they love when I show up unexpected. The freeway stretched endlessly ahead, palm trees swaying in the warm April afternoon. Los Angeles looked exactly as I remembered, sprawling, sun-soaked. Nothing like the small Texas town where I had raised Hannah. She had always been drawn to bigger things, brighter lights. Martha used to say, "Our daughter got her adventurous spirit from me." Back when I still believed in taking risks. Twice during the drive, I hovered over Hannah's contact on my phone, ready to call, but hung up before IT rang. No, better to surprise her in person. The look on her face would be worth the 4-hour flight and my aching back. "This the place?" the driver asked as we pulled up to a neat little house with white shutters and a small front garden. "Yes," I said, paying him and grabbing my bag. The afternoon sun felt warm on my shoulders as I walked to the front door. Rehearsing what? I'd say maybe I'd start with a joke about how her old man finally figured out how to book a flight. Or maybe I'd just open my arms and wait for her to run into them, like she used to when she was 8. I reached into my bag and pulled out the gift I had. Brought a hand-carved wooden jewelry box I had made in my garage workshop. Inside was her grandmother's ring, to keep safe until little Maya was old enough to treasure it. Martha would have loved seeing it pass down. For a moment, I just stood there, letting the anticipation wash over me. 3 years of phone calls and texts were about to turn into real hugs and shared meals. I pressed the doorbell. The chime rang out. Silence. I pressed IT again, holding it longer this time. Still silence. "Hannah, IT's dad," I called, knocking on the doorframe. Maybe they were in the backyard. Maybe the music was too loud. But the silence stretched on. Stepping back, I looked at the house more closely. The rose bush by the front window was dry, the petals scattered across the walkway like confetti from a party long over. When had Hannah stopped tending her garden? She used to send me photos of her roses every spring. I walked to the side gate and peeked into the backyard. The patio furniture was covered in dust. The vegetable patch she used to show off with pride was dead and withered. A child's tricycle lay on its side near the back door, one wheel spinning lazily in the breeze. Strange, I muttered, returning to the front porch. The mailbox overflowed with envelopes and packages, some spilling onto the ground. I picked up a few pieces electric bills from 3 weeks ago, advertising circulars, a package addressed to Victor that looked like IT had been baking in the California sun for days. The latest postmark I could find was 10 days old. My heart started pounding. That old engineer's instinct kicked in. When systems fail, there's always a logical explanation. I just needed more data. Cupping my hands against the living room window, I pressed my face to the glass. Dark inside, curtains drawn, no movement. Nitrogen monoxide television flicker. Nitrogen monoxide sound of family life. The house felt abandoned. Yet I could make out familiar shapes, Hannah's art easel in the corner, little Liam's toy cars, scattered on the coffee table. Excuse me, are you looking for the McCoys? I spun around to see an elderly woman in a sun hat approaching from next door, garden shears in her gloved hands. Yes, I'm David Sims, Hannah's father. Have you seen them lately? She paused, wiping her forehead with the back of her wrist. Come to think of it, no. Been awfully quiet over there. Usually hear the children playing in the morning. But she trailed off, studying my face. Is everything all right? I'm sure it is, I lied, my voice cracking slightly. They probably went on vacation, maybe visiting family. She didn't look convinced but nodded politely. Well, I hope they're okay. Such a sweet family. As she returned to her gardening, I sat heavily on the front step, the wooden jewelry box still clutched in my hands. None of this made sense. Hannah would have mentioned a vacation, and Victor, obsessed with social media, would have posted every minute of it. I scrolled through Hannah's Facebook page. The last post was 6 weeks ago, Maya's school art project. Before that, nothing for months. My daughter, who used to document every dinner, every weekend hike, had gone completely silent. As the afternoon shadows grew longer, I just sat there staring at the silent house. A jogger ran past, earbuds in, oblivious to the storm building in my chest. Somewhere down the street, a lawnmower started a normal, comforting sound that felt completely wrong. I checked under the welcome mat, felt around the rim of the flower pot. Nitrogen monoxide key. The door handle turned uselessly, in my grip, locked. Okay, David, I told myself, don't panic. There's a logical explanation. But the more I sat there, the more the evidence screamed that something was very, very wrong. I finally pressed Hannah's name on my phone. 1 ring, 2, 3, straight to voicemail. Hi, you've reached Hannah. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Her cheerful voice made my chest ache. I hung up and immediately dialed again. Same result. Third time, I let it ring longer, ready to leave a message. Hello? The voice that answered wasn't Hannah's. Male, professional, cautious. Hannah, this is Dad. I'm in Los Angeles. I wanted to surprise you, but nobody's home. And sir, this is Dr. Rivera from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Are you a family member of Hannah, Miko? Why? The world tilted. I gripped the phone tighter, my other hand pressing into the porch rail for balance. What? Yes, I'm her father. Why do you have her phone? Where is she? A pause that felt like a lifetime. Mr. Sims, I'm very sorry to inform you that your daughter is currently in our intensive care unit. She has been receiving treatment for advanced cancer, and her condition is critical. The words hit like a fist to the chest. Cancer. Critical. My voice came out raw. No. I talked to her 3 months ago. She was fine. She was just tired. Sir, I understand this is shocking news. Stage 4 cancer can progress rapidly, and many patients don't share their diagnosis with family right away. She's been under our care for several weeks. Several weeks. The silent house, the dying garden, the overflowing mailbox. It all clicked together with terrifying clarity. Where's Victor? Her husband? Where are my grandchildren? I'm sorry, Mr. Sims. I cannot comment on other family matters, but I strongly recommend you come to the hospital immediately. Your daughter has been asking for you. My hands shook so hard I could barely hold the phone. What's the address? I managed. I'm coming now, said the Sinai Medical Center, 8700 Beverly Boulevard. Ask for the Oncology Intensive Care Unit when you arrive. Dr. Malik. The line went dead. I stared at the phone in my trembling hands. The afternoon sun suddenly too bright, too warm, too normal. For a world where my daughter was dying, and I hadn't known, 3 months ago. She'd said she was tired, and I had been sulfur monoxide wrapped up in my own grief, my own isolation, that I'd missed every warning sign. The wooden jewelry box slipped from my lap and clattered down the porch steps. Evelyn's ring was supposed to pass to Claire someday, but what if there wasn't going to be a someday? What if I was already too late? I stood up too quickly, my head spinning, and stumbled toward the street with mechanical precision. A taxi. I needed a taxi. The hospital address burned itself into my mind. 8700 Beverly Boulevard. Oncology Intensive Care Unit. When I finally flagged down a yellow cab, one thought kept circling in my head like a punishment. How had I become the kind of father who learns his daughter is dying from a stranger on the phone? The taxi door slammed shut, sealing away the life I had just been living. I handed the driver the crumpled paper with the address. My hand still trembling said Sinai Medical Center, please. As fast as you can. Traffic's heavy this time of day, sir, but I'll do my best. His eyes met mine in the rearview mirror, taking in my distress. Emergency. My daughter. The words stuck in my throat. She's dying. The leather seat felt foreign, too smooth, too normal for someone whose world had just collapsed. Through the window, LA traffic moved in its usual chaotic dance, people heading home from work, picking up groceries, living ordinary lives, while mine spiraled into a nightmare. Cancer. Stage 4. Critical. I pulled out that worn photograph again, Claire's laughing face staring back at me. How had I missed the signs? Just tired, Dad. Really tired. That last phone call looped in my head, until IT hurt. I'd brushed IT off as work stress, the exhaustion of raising 2 kids. What kind of father was I? The cab jolted forward through stop-and-go traffic, and memories flooded in unbidden. Claire, taking her first wobbly steps across our old kitchen floor, teaching her to ride a bike in the park, her smile at high school graduation, her hand in mine as I walked her down the aisle 2 years ago. Daniel had promised to take care of her aisle. Love and protect your daughter, he'd said, shaking my hand. Where was he now? Why hadn't he called me? I dialed his number for the 4th time. Voicemail again. Daniel, it's Thomas. I'm in LA. Claire's in the hospital. Call me immediately. It sounded too polite for the rage growing in my chest. My daughter was fighting for her life, and her husband was nowhere to be found. Faster, please, I told the driver. How old is she? He asked softly. 38. 2 little kids. So young, he murmured, accelerating through a yellow light. I have daughter too, same age. This breaks the heart. Outside, the palm trees swayed against the late afternoon sky, indifferent to human suffering. Evelyn used to say Los Angeles looked like paradise but felt lonely. She had been right. About THAT, right about so many things. If she were still alive, she would have known. She would have felt it in her bones that Claire was sick. She would have pressed for details. Maybe even flown out here herself. But she was gone, and I had spent 5 years drowning in my own grief, instead of being the father Claire needed. I folded and refolded the address until IT was a small square, the only solid thing in a day that felt unreal. This morning, I had been a retired engineer planning a surprise visit. Now I was racing through traffic to see my dying daughter. The cab pulled up to the hospital, just as evening turned the sky. Purple, glass and steel rose in front of me, bright and clinical. "Good luck with your daughter," the driver said gently as I paid him. I grabbed my bag and stood on the sidewalk, staring up at the building that held my whole world. The automatic door slid open with a hush, revealing a lobby that felt almost cheerful with its colorful art. I approached the information desk, my voice shaky. "Oncology Intensive Care Unit, Claire Bennett. ID, please," the woman said kindly, handing me a clipboard. "Sign in. Take the elevator to the 7th floor." My hands trembled as I wrote my name. The elevator felt like a countdown to disaster. When the doors opened, the smell of antiseptic hit me like a wall. Dr. Malik stood at the nurse's station, a compact man with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Mr. Reed, I'm glad you made it safely. How is she?" The question came out hoarse. "Stable for now. The chemo hasn't worked as well as we hoped, but she's responding to the new treatment. She's been asking for family. She'll be relieved to see you." We walked down the hallway, past rooms filled with the soft beeping of machines and the whisper of families praying. Through one door, an old man held his wife's hand. Through another, a young mother read to her bald child. "Room 713, Doctor," Malik said quietly. "I should warn you, the illness has taken a toll, but she's still Claire, still herself." Nothing could have prepared me. Hannah lay propped up in the hospital bed, pale against the white sheets, monitors tracing her heartbeat in steady green lines. 4 tubes dripped methodically into her arms. She looked so small, so fragile, nothing like the vibrant woman who'd danced barefoot at her wedding. But when she saw me, her whole face lit up. "Daddy." The single word was a whisper, but it hit me like a freight train. I crossed the room in 3 strides and carefully wrapped her in my arms, terrified I might break her. She felt impossibly light, all sharp angles where they're used to be warmth. "Oh, sweetheart." The tears I'd been holding back since the phone call spilled over. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." "I didn't want to worry you," she murmured into my shoulder. "You were still grieving, Mom, I thought. I thought I could handle it myself." I pulled back, tucking the thin hospital blanket closer around her, like I used to when she was little. "Why didn't you tell me? We could have fought this together." Her eyes filled with tears. "The doctor said 6 months, maybe 8 with treatment. I kept thinking I'd get better, that I'd call you when I had good news to share. But," her voice cracked, "8 months, maybe less now." I settled into the chair beside her bed, holding her icy hands between mine. "Where's Victor?" She hesitated, and her gaze slid toward the window. "He said he had important business meetings this week. Said he'd be back before the weekend." "When did you last see him?" 3 days ago." Her voice was small, ashamed. "He's been distant since the diagnosis. I think it scares him. My daughter was dying, and her husband was scared. Has he been taking care of you? Helping with the kids?" "My neighbor Maya watches them during the day. Victor handles the practical stuff." But the way she said it, like she was trying to convince herself, told me everything I needed to know. I stayed with her for the next hour, holding her hand while she drifted in and out of sleep. Each time she woke, her eyes found mine as if she needed proof I was still there. When she finally fell into a deeper sleep, I stood and stared out at the glittering city lights. Time to deal with Victor. I pulled out my phone. First call 1 ring, then voicemail. He was screening. I typed a short message. "Your wife is in ICU. Call immediately." 5 minutes passed. Nothing then. I saw Hannah's phone charging on the bedside table. Maybe if the call came from her number. I glanced at her sleeping form, then picked it up. Victor's contact was near the top of her recent calls. Last incoming call, 2 days ago. 2 days since he'd bothered to check on his dying wife. I called again, using her phone, straight to voicemail. My jaw tightened. I was about to set the phone down when a notification popped up. Instagram. Hannah's account was still logged in. At the top of the feed, Victor's story glowed with a fresh red circle. I tapped without thinking. The first image froze my blood. A luxury yacht, bathed in golden sunlight. Champagne glasses glinting. Someone's manicured hand raised in a toast. Time-stamped. 2 hours ago. I swiped. Again. Victor's face filled the screen, smiling, relaxed, arms slung around two men I didn't recognize. All three looked like they'd stepped out of a Yacht magazine ad, the Pacific Ocean glittering behind them. Caption: living my best life with the boys. Posted 91 minutes ago. I took screenshot after screenshot, each image twisted deeper. Victor sprawled on white cushions. Victor laughing, mid-dive off the yacht. Victor holding another champagne glass as the sun sank into the ocean. The last video was worst of all. Victor, looking straight into the camera, grinning. Nothing like a few days away from reality to clear your head. Sometimes you just gotta live a little. I stared at the screen, my vision blurring with rage. His wife was fighting for her life, and he was talking about getting away from reality. I checked the location tags. Asterisk Marina del Rey, less than an hour from this hospital. My hands trembled as I typed another message. I see you're having fun. Your wife is dying. Call me. Then another. I have screenshots. We need to talk. Still, no response. I paced the room quietly, careful not to wake Hannah. Mind racing. That yacht rental had to cost thousands per day. Victor was a business consultant, successful, yes, but not yacht for fun successful. Where was the money coming from? I looked back at Hannah's peaceful face and whispered promises I should have made long ago. I won't let him hurt you anymore. Sweetheart, Daddy's here now, and I'm going to fix this. The monitor beeped steadily, each sound marking another heartbeat. Another moment of life Victor was wasting while partying. How long had this been going on? How long had she been suffering alone while he played at being single? I sat down and screenshot every photo, every post, methodical, like evidence in a trial. Document the proof, build the case, find the leverage. Victor might think he could walk away in her darkest hour, but he made one fatal mistake. He forgot she has a father who would burn the world down for her. My phone buzzed. Victor's name flashed on the screen. I looked at my daughter one last time, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Just going for coffee." Downstairs, the cafeteria was quiet, mostly empty, except for a few tired medical staff. I bought coffee I didn't want, and sat in the farthest corner, staring at that yacht photo again. Victor's grin, the champagne, the sunlight off the water. How does a business consultant afford a $16,000 yacht? The question sparked a memory that made my blood run cold. Last year, Victor had asked for temporary access to my backup account, said they had medical bills, house repairs, even dental work for Maya. He'd promised IT was just until things stabilized. I'd been impressed back then. What a considerate husband, I'd thought, shielding my daughter from money. Worries? With shaking hands, I opened my bank app and pulled up the transactions. They loaded slowly. EACH1 like a dagger. Marina del Rey yacht charters $16,000. Posted yesterday. New Malibu, $860. 3 days ago. Mercedes service, $2,500. Last week. Rodeo Drive shopping. $3,3. 10 days ago. IT went on and on. AMONTH. S-long parade of luxury spending. While my daughter wasted away in a hospital bed. Every dollar of IT had come from my account. My hands were steady now. As I screenshot everything. The dates told the story clearly. As Hannah's condition worsened, his spending increased. While she endured chemo, he was dining at 5-star restaurants while she lost her hair. He was buying designer clothes. I pushed the rage down, useful, but dangerous if I let it take over. This needed strategy. I pulled out my notebook and began writing account numbers, transaction IDs, a plan to cut him off completely. Victor had funded his betrayal with my money, and now it was time to end IT, the bank's emergency. Line picked up on the third ring. First National Emergency Services. This is Amanda. Can I help you? This is David Sims. I need to revoke authorized access on my account immediately. She asked for security details. I rattled them off from memory, my voice like ice. Thank you, she said. Victor McCoy has had access since April 2023. Are you requesting complete revocation? Immediate and permanent, I replied. Transfer every last dollar to my primary secure account. Cancel every automatic payment, every linked service, every card. One moment while I process that, she said. Hold music played while I watched a security guard walk past. The world went on as normal, while I quietly destroyed Victor's financial foundation. Mr. Sims, she said finally, his access is revoked. The remaining balance of $129,000 is now in your primary account. I'm also seeing 3 credit cards in his name. Shall I cancel those as well? The banker asked. Every single one. Cancel every card. Remove Victor as an authorized user. Delete him from emergency notifications. Processing now, the calm voice replied. It's done. Mr. McCoy will receive notice that his cards have been deactivated, and any attempted transactions will be declined. Good. Set up fraud alerts. If anyone tries to access these accounts with his information, I want to know. Already in place, sir. You'll receive confirmation emails shortly. I hung up and opened my banking app. Access revoked. Cards canceled. Payments terminated. A clean digital execution. Within seconds, the emails started coming through. Each one felt like a small verdict. Justice delivered electronically. Let's see how long the yacht party lasts when his cards start getting declined. I closed my notebook with a sharp snap and slipped my phone into my pocket. The engineer in me appreciated the elegance of the solution. Identify the system failure, isolate it, and remove it permanently. Victor's access to my resources now existed only in his imagination. I stood, feeling lighter. Not because the weight of Hannah's illness had lessened, that burden would stay until she recovered, or until she didn't, but because I'd finally stopped funding her abandonment. Victor could enjoy his yacht tonight, tomorrow, when his transactions failed and my silence became deafening. He'd learn what happens when a parasite loses its host, as I passed the chapel and the nurse's station. The quiet rhythm of the hospital continued. Somewhere, justice had just been administered. Hannah was awake when I returned, staring at the ceiling with that faraway look. The glow of the monitors made the room feel smaller, more intimate. Hey, sweetheart, I said, setting my cold coffee aside. How are you feeling? Better now that you're here? She turned her head toward me. Something changed in her expression. Dad, I need to tell you something about Victor. I took her hand, cold, despite the warmth of the room. Take your time, honey. I'm listening. She swallowed hard. He changed after Liam was born. Started saying I wasn't contributing enough. When Liam was colicky, it was hard to keep up with design work. Victor said I was a burden. My free hand curled into a fist under the blanket, but I kept my voice calm. A burden? You were raising 2 kids. She nodded, shame coloring her cheeks. When the medical bills started coming, he said I was ruining his future, that he married a partner, not a patient. When the cancer diagnosis came, he just shut down, stayed out late, claimed it was work. My anger was a live wire in my chest. What kind of man abandons his sick wife? I thought if I got better, faster, if I didn't complain, he'd come back. But he's not coming back, is he? I smoothed her hair like I used to when she was little and scared of thunderstorms. Sweetheart, you are perfect exactly as you are. Any man who can't see that doesn't deserve you. She squeezed my hand weakly. I feel so stupid for defending him all these years, for making excuses when he ignored your calls. You were protecting your family, I said gently. You hoped he'd be the man you needed him to be. Tears filled her eyes. The worst part is telling Maya why her daddy isn't coming home. You don't have to explain anything. Your only job now is to get better. Leave Victor, leave the finances, leave everything to me. She hesitated. Promise me one thing, she whispered. Anything. Don't let anger consume you. I need my dad, not another angry man. I kissed her forehead. I promise. But as she drifted into sleep, I knew it was a promise I might not keep. Some men don't deserve forgiveness. They deserve consequences. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Marina del Rey area code. I stepped to the window before answering. Hello, David. What did you do? Victor's voice was sharp with panic. My cards were declined in front of everyone. Fix this. I ignored his demand. Where are you right now, Victor? That's none of your business. Listen, old man, restore my access now, or my daughter, I cut in, voice like ice, is lying in a hospital bed fighting for her life, and you're partying on a yacht with my money. Silence. Then sputtering excuses. This is networking, but I'd already ended the call. Party music, laughter, waves lapping against the hull. The sound of a man whose wife was fighting for her life while he lived it up on someone else's dime. $16,000 for yacht rental. Daniel, my $16,000. I kept my voice low, aware of Claire stirring behind me while his wife was in intensive care. You can't just cut me off. I have rights. Her husband. You were her husband. Past tense. I turned to see Claire's eyes open, watching me with growing understanding. You made your choice when you chose champagne over chemotherapy appointments. Listen, you don't understand the pressure I've been under. The pressure. My voice hardened. What pressure, Daniel? The pressure of having unlimited access to my bank account while abandoning your family? His voice shifted, becoming calculating. Restore my access, or I file for divorce and take the kids. I'll make sure Claire loses everything in court. That was his mistake, the moment he threatened my grandchildren. Daniel, I said, quietly, and something in my tone made even him pause. You just made the biggest mistake of your pathetic life. Behind me, I heard Claire's sharp intake of breath. She was fully awake now, listening to every word, finally hearing her husband's true voice, selfish, threatening, utterly without remorse. I know exactly where you are, I continued. I know exactly what you've been doing. I know exactly how much of my money you've been spending while my daughter fought for her life, and now I know exactly what kind of man threatens to steal children from their dying mother. You can't do this to me. I have a reputation to maintain. People are watching. Yes, they're watching. They're watching you get your credit cards declined because you're a parasite who can't pay his own bills. Daniel's voice cracked. Thomas, wait. Let's discuss this reasonably. I made some mistakes, but we can work this out. I'll come to the hospital right now. We can. I looked at Claire and saw the tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, but relief. Finally understanding who she'd married. Finally seeing her father protect her the way a real man protects his family. No, I said softly. We can't work this out. The silence stretched between us. Daniel's panicked breathing audible over the connection. In the background, I could hear his world crashing down, yacht engines stopping, voices arguing about payment, the party atmosphere dissolving into chaos. Thomas, are you there? Please, I can explain everything. I turned from the window and walked to Claire's bedside, taking her hand while keeping the phone pressed to my ear, her fingers intertwined with mine, squeezing tight in support. Daniel, you chose a yacht over your dying wife. You chose parties over your children. You chose my money over your family's future. My voice dropped to barely above a whisper, but each word cut like a blade. You made your choice. Now live with the consequences. I can change. I'll be different. I'll come home and take care of everyone. If you ever approach my daughter or our grandchildren again, I will destroy you completely. Financially, legally, socially. I will make sure everyone knows exactly what you are. You can't do this. I have rights. I'm her husband. You abandoned your sick wife for yacht parties. You stole money from her father to fund your selfish lifestyle. You threatened to take children away from their dying mother. I paused, letting each fact sink in. What court do you think will side with you? His voice broke completely. I have nowhere to go. My friends won't even look at me after the card thing. The yacht company is threatening to call the police. I made mistakes, but everyone deserves a second chance. You had your second chance every single day for the past 6 months. Every day, you chose not to be here. Every day you chose not to hold her hand during treatment. Every day you chose parties over family. Claire was crying now, but they were tears of liberation. 20 years of making excuses for Daniel's behavior. And now she was hearing her father speak the truth she'd been too afraid to voice. Please, Thomas, I'm begging you. Just give me enough to get home, and we can. No. The word hung in the air like a final judgment. You're done, Daniel. Done with my money. Done with my family. Done hurting people I love. But I don't have anywhere to. I hung up and immediately blocked his number. The action, as final as slamming a door. Then I sat beside Claire's bed and pulled her hand to my lips, kissing her knuckles the way I used to when she was small and scared. Thank you, Dad, she whispered. You never have to thank me for protecting you, sweetheart. That's what fathers do. She squeezed my hand tighter. I was so afraid to leave him, afraid of being alone with the kids, afraid of admitting I'd made such a terrible mistake. You're not alone. You'll never be alone again. I smoothed her hair back from her forehead. And it wasn't your mistake. It was his. Every selfish choice, every cruel word, every moment he chose himself over his family. That's on him, not you. For the first time since I'd arrived in Los Angeles, Claire smiled, a real smile, full of hope instead of fear. Get some rest, I said softly. Tomorrow, we start planning your future, a future where nobody gets to hurt you ever again. She closed her eyes, her breathing already deeper and more peaceful than I'd seen all day. The monitoring equipment beeped steadily beside us, counting heartbeats, counting moments, counting the beginning of a new life. Outside the window, Los Angeles sparkled in the night, indifferent to one small family's victory over cruelty. But inside room 7, justice had been served and healing could finally begin. 1 year later in 2025, sunshine streamed through the kitchen window of our new house in Texas, painting golden squares across the hardwood floor where Maya's art supplies lay scattered in organized chaos. The sound of children's laughter drifted in from the backyard, mixing with the steady rhythm of Claire chopping vegetables for lunch. I paused in the doorway, watching my daughter move with the energy and grace that had returned month by month. Her hair had grown back thicker than before, framing a face that glowed with health and genuine happiness. The haunted look was gone, replaced by the confident woman I'd raised, the one who'd been buried under years of Daniel's manipulation. Dad, you're lurking again, she said without turning around. That familiar, teasing tone that told me everything I needed to know about her recovery. Just appreciating the view, sweetheart. Still can't believe you're really here. Through the window, I could see Liam teaching Maya how to throw a perfect spiral, their grandfather's football techniques passed down with patient precision. At 8 and 6 now, they'd adapted to their new life with the resilience children possess when they're finally truly safe. The divorce had been swift and brutal. Daniel's threats about custody evaporated the moment his lawyer heard the recorded phone calls and saw the bank statements. A Man who'd abandoned his terminally ill wife while spending her father's money on yacht parties wasn't exactly sympathetic to family court judges. Grandpa. Maya's voice carried through the screen door. Come show Liam how to catch better. In a minute, honey, I called back, then turned to Claire. How are you feeling today? Really feeling? I asked. She set down her knife and turned to face me fully, and I saw in her eyes what Dr. Rivera's tests had confirmed 3 months ago: complete remission. I feel like myself again, she said softly. Maybe even better than myself. Stronger. The kitchen timer chimed, breaking the moment, and she pulled a pan of cornbread from the oven, Martha's recipe, the one I'd taught her years ago. Some traditions were worth holding on to. Remember what you used to tell me when I was little and scared of thunderstorms? She asked, setting the hot pan on the rack to cool. That storms pass, but families last forever. You were right, she whispered before hugging me tight, the way she used to before marriage, before illness, before fear had carved a distance between us. About storms, about family, about Victor. I had never said I told you so about her ex-husband, and I never would. Hannah had endured enough without me adding shame to the pile. The restraining order was all the proof either of us needed. Dad. Maya scored a touchdown. Liam came barreling through the screen door, grass-stained and grinning ear to ear. Behind him, Maya performed a victory dance so over the top it would have made her grandmother laugh out loud. Touchdown celebrations call for extra cornbread, Hannah announced, cutting thick, steaming squares and passing them around. Later, as the Texas evening painted the sky orange and pink, the 4 of us sat together on the porch swing, the one that had been Martha's favorite. We'd salvaged it, rebuilt it, and hung it right where it belonged. Maya leaned sleepily against my shoulder, while Liam peppered me with questions about the stars just beginning to appear. Tell us the story about how you saved Mom again, Maya murmured half asleep. Sweetheart, I said gently, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Your mom saved herself. I just cleared away the obstacles. Like the bad man who went away. Exactly like the bad man who went away. Hannah reached for my hand and squeezed it, our quiet shorthand for love, gratitude, and the kind of bond that either shatters under pressure or becomes unbreakable. Ours had become unbreakable. This quiet moment under a soft Texas sky. This is what winning looks like. Not the moment Victor's cards were declined, satisfying as that had been, but these slow, ordinary evenings. Evenings when no one is fighting for their life, no one is walking away, and the only battle is whether Liam will finish his vegetables. The stars appeared one by one, the same constellations Martha and I had once watched when Hannah was Maya's age. Life changes, marriages end, people fail you. Illness tests everything you think you know about fairness. But some things endure. The love between a father and daughter, the resilience of children, the quiet satisfaction of protecting what matters most. Tomorrow, Hannah would return to her design work while the kids started another day at their new school. I'd tend to Martha's garden and maybe finally start building that dollhouse Maya had been asking for. Tonight, though, we just sat there, 3 generations bound by love, tested by fire, finally safe in the peace we'd earned. If you liked this story, I said, looking toward the camera, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what you thought in the comments. And if you'd like to hear the next story, click on the box to the left. Thank you for watching.